Danger. Once you get into the desert, there's no going back, said the camel driver. And when you can't go back, you have to worry only about the best way of moving forward. The rest is up to Allah, including the danger.
Good morning, Young Kings. Time for your more motivation. As I mentioned in my last video, sometime between the end of my last video and my birthday, which is Sunday, turned 47 on Sunday, that I'll be giving you 47 tips, guideline, rules, structure on to live your life by, or what I have governed my life by, or what I have learned throughout my 47 rotations around the earth. So got 47, and how I wrote these down is that over the last few days, I've just been reflecting over my life and some valuable lessons that I learned along the way, and just want to convey that to you. As I said in many of my videos, you know, the difference between a smart person and a wise person is that a smart person learns from their mistakes, whereas a wise person learns from other people's mistakes. So I had to go through life trying to be smart. So now it's my attempt to reach back to generations and make sure that they're able to be wise. So if you are able to get something from this and benefit from this, just like, share. I think everyone in their 20s should see this video or something of that to this extent. It doesn't have to be for me, because I recognize with doing this channel, like, there's some people that just won't receive from me just because of their interpretation of who I am, and whatever it may be their issue is not my issue. But as I tell my kids, the decade of your 20s is the most important decade of your life, because what you do in your 20s will determine the quality of your life for the rest of your life. My mom used to tell me, she used to say, you can play now and pay later, or you can pay now and play later, but you got to pay. So if you spend your 20s and you do all the playing, going out, drinking, with lust, sex, and all that other stuff, when you hit 30, it's going to be time for you to pay. But if you spend your 20s investing and you pay, whether it be investing in your education or getting experience or just going out there, being an entrepreneur or whatever it may be, if you spend the decade of investing, when you turn 30, then you'll start to reap the dividends from a lot of things that you planted when you were in your 20s. So just be mindful of that. So 47, I'm not sure how many videos it's gonna take to get through, but these are just tips and guidelines. So, and they're having to deal with relationships, they're having to deal with employment, they're having to deal with just life in general, things that I have learned along the way. So if you get something from it, or one that resonate with you, just put it in the comment, like, share. Anybody under 47 can benefit from this. So I know I've been truly blessed, and some of these things I had to learn the hard way, and some of these things I'm just recently learning. Like, I'm still growing. It's not like I have attained or ascended to a place where I'm above reproach, or that I'm not still trying to learn and mature in some of these things. But as I went through life, um, like I said, over the last few days, I just reflected on it. So someone may expound, and the way it's going to break down on this video is that I do have 47 things here, and I could have wrote more than 47, but I'm only 47 years old. So under some of the statements, comments, and stuff, I have sub questions or sub things under there. So it may be one that I give you one, but then it may have, you know, 2 or 3 associated things, points to drive home on there. So I'll try not to expound too much, but then, you know, once again, I'll just leave grace, you know, for the Spirit to do as the Spirit sees fit. So let's get right into it. Number 1, there are 4 choices that you can make that will really determine the quality of your life. If you get these 4 choices, like, I know you're inundated with things you have to choose, but these are the 4 that you need to pay particular close attention to. 1 is who you choose as the Lord and Savior. That's supremely important and will determine the quality of your life. The number 2 of your major choices you need to decide is what you're going to choose as a profession. What type of work that you're going to engage in, what type of gifts and talents you have. Number 3 is who you choose as a mate, who you choose to marry, to date. And then the 4th important decision is who you choose as friends. Now, if there's something that's less than desirable in your life, there's probably one of those 4 categories that you chose wrong, or that you didn't apply the appropriate level of priority to, that you just accepted what was available and that you just went with the flow. But if you can control, because those, a lot of choices are made for you. Like, you don't get to choose your parents, you don't get to choose what country you were born in. All those choices were made for you. So take ownership of your life. You can take control of those 4. And messed up. If you can take control of those 4, then you'll live a prosperous life. Control what you can control and nothing more. So that's all number 1. Number 2, stand tall in your storm, and the rain will eventually harvest, will water the harvest for your in due season. So if you stand tall in your storm, when it's raining and stuff, that's watering for the harvest for your in due season. So there's an acronym that I had for stand tall. And the essence standing is that you need strength, the quality of being able to be strong and exert endurance. Tenacity, you just got to be able to go after something with all your heart, and then have the audacity. The A is for audacity. So the T was tenacity, the A is audacity, and the willingness to take bold risks. And the N is stand is never quit, and then the D is be determined. The firmness of purpose, like you got to be on purpose. Like when you go through storm, that's really to test your purpose. Are you going to stay on purpose, or are you going to get off course? So you got to make sure that you stand. And then when you stand, you got to be tall. You can't just be slouched down. You got to be standing up tall. And in tall, you got to have the toughness. You got to be available, because sometimes when you go through stuff, people want to close in and they don't want to be available to anything. They don't want to take any risks. They don't want to do things. They just want to close up and just shrink in a corner. So you got to be available, and then you got to love. The L in tall is love. Like, a lot of people, when they get hurt, they want to close their heart. And if you close your heart because you hurt, not only do you prevent it from being additionally hurt, but you prevent it from being loved. And you got to open it up to love. And then you got to be willing to learn, because the level of thinking that you currently had is what got you into that problem. So you got to learn of how to get new information so you can get a new result. They said the definition of insanity is doing a different result, doing the same thing, expecting a different result. So make sure that you learn. Number 3, never let success go to your head, and never let failure get in your heart. Just because you won yesterday don't mean you will always win. And just because you lost yesterday don't mean you will always lose. So you got to continually input things that will lead you to being successful. And that's why I say I can't fail, because even when I fell, I have successfully found out some things that don't work. So even in your failure, if you're learning, you really didn't fail. You just got a lesson. Number 4, manage yourself so no one else has to manage or control you. Learn how to govern your own activities and your own behavior, because if you don't know how to manage yourself, then there's going to be people that will manage you, whether it be your parents going to have to correct you for cleaning your room, or whether it be the teacher that may fail you out of class, and maybe be a police officer that has to correct you because you're breaking a law. But govern yourself to a point that no one else has to govern you. Number 5, dream big. All greatness start with the small seed that's planted. You need to be able to expand your horizon. Like when you talk to a group of kindergartens, they have these dreams. They want to be astronauts. They want to be doctors. They want to be lawyers. And the older they grow, the smaller their dreams start to shrink into what their, current environment allows them to do. So don't shrink to the opinions of others. That's still on number 5. And when you dream, don't stay asleep. You got to rise and grind. You got to get up and you got to start making things happen, because you got to introduce what was in that dream state and you got to bring it over to this physical state so it can be manifested. So dream big, because all greatness start with the small seed that's planted. Number 6, work ethic is both the talent and the skill set. And I think you need to apply your work ethic in your life, because I think it's better for you. And it's going to come up again later. But it's better for you to have a strong work ethic than for you just to be the smartest in the room. Because if you have a strong work ethic, you will learn anything. You're capable, because if you continue to work at it, it becomes second nature. But if you're lazy, then you really won't progress. So number 6, that was number 6. Number 7, you need to leave your hometown and explore the world. There's some people I come across that has never left their hometown. They spend their whole life in a particular area, and not even in the big city, they'll restrict themselves to a particular neighborhood. They're from the west side, they're from the south side, and they'll claim that as though that's something to be proud of. You need to get away from your hometown, even if it's only for a short period of time. You need to expand your mind. This is a big world. You need to go out there and explore, because an expanded mind cannot be contracted. Once you experience something different, then your mind sees the reach of possibility of living somewhere different, being somewhere different, and it's just gives you just a whole host of opportunities. So definitely leave from your hometown. Number 8, if you choose to marry or date, date your best friend. Beauty fades and becomes your new normal. Chemistry is king. I know coming up, I used to want a trophy wife and stuff of that nature. But if you have to choose between beauty and chemistry, always go with chemistry. Because if the beautiful person has an ugly attitude, it doesn't matter how beautiful they are. But if you see someone that's maybe just average, then they're going to become more beautiful because of their chemistry. Now, luckily, I found both in my second turn around this relationship and marriage thing, is that my woman is beautiful and we have supreme chemistry. So it's like, it's a win-win. Number 9, don't spoil your kids. Discipline is true love. So if you have kids, I know when I was coming up, and I have good kids, none of them in trouble. My daughters are excelling in their life, and some of them, just following, in their steps, as far as developing into prosperous young women. But don't spoil your kid. Discipline is true love. When you come up and if you grew up hard, you may have the tendency to want to give your kids everything you never had. But the reality of it is like you need to really give them exactly what you had, because everything you went through, you are a sum total of everything you experienced. So if you're successful and then you go rob your kids of everything of how you got to get there, then you're robbing your kids from the likelihood that they too will be successful. So if you want to spoil somebody, spoil yourself. You appreciate it more anyways. Number 10, learn all you can without becoming a know-it-all. Those that think they know it all don't know it all. And the subset of that is that don't restrict your intelligence to your formal education. Do not restrict your intelligence to your formal education. Like I used to always say that life is a big classroom. So you will learn a lot more outside of that formal education than you would inside. Those are just rituals that they want you to regurgitate for the sake of a grade. But life is a big classroom. Everything that you encounter is there to teach you, to test you, or to bless you. So those are different things that you need to keep in mind. Do not restrict your educations to the formal classroom. Number 11, learn to fight fear as your opponent may not be your enemy. Learn to fight fear as your opponent may not be your enemy. So everybody that comes against you is not an enemy. So you got to realize, like, do not try to destroy everybody that comes against you. Learn to fight fair, whether it be with your words, with your actions, with your deeds, and you'll realize that you'll be building more healthy relationships the more you learn how to fight fair. Number 12, material things will never satisfy the longing of your heart. I used to think, okay, if I got this car, that I'll be content. Then you get a car, then you want a nice sound system in there, you want rims, you want this or that. I used to always be in the old school cars. And I used to think, well, if I got this house, then I'll be satisfied. And I think if I got, this new cell phone, this new tablet, those material things will never satisfy you. So there's nothing wrong with having things, but it's a problem when things start having you. So you just got to make sure that you don't pursue the material things. There's nothing wrong with having nice things. I have a lot of nice things, but you got to get to a point where those nice things don't have you. Number 13, never attach your worth to anyone other than the Most High God. Never let anybody determine your value outside of the Most High God, because you were created in His image. So anybody outside of the Most High God trying to define you is insubordinate. And the thing with that, because people will use and abuse you and think that you enjoyed it because you didn't say anything. The more you let things go, the worse things are going to grow and get worse. And another subset to that is that some people will only love you to the extent they're able to benefit from you. So that's not really love. It's kind of more in line with manipulation. So just be mindful of that. Number 14, if you want something bad, that's exactly how you're going to get it, bad. Learn the art of delayed gratification. Learn to say no to yourself and others. Like when you say no to someone, that's how you can truly understand what that person, how they feel about you. Because if you're the one saying yes all the time, people started getting entitled. And I think I mentioned in my last video, if you ask somebody a question and they don't have the ability to say no, then you're not asking, you're demanding. And do not let people demand of you. So make sure you are able to monitor and learn how to say no, not only to others, but learn how to say no to yourself as well. Number 15, never allow someone to think for you. Think and speak for yourself. Like, you have a mind, use it. Do not let people just manipulate you and start placing thoughts in your head. Think for yourself. Number 16, do not judge anyone off someone else's opinion. Like, once again, think for yourself. Like, you get to a place where let's say you get to a new job, and on your orientation, they walking you around the company and this, and the person that's giving you the orientation, they probably telling you things like, hey, you want to stay away from this person, they do this and that, you want to watch out for this, and they're giving you just kind of what they think is the inside track. And I remember me, when I was a company commander taking the unit over to Afghanistan, I had this soldier, and people told me that he was a dirtbag and that he didn't know what he was doing. It was a specialist, so he was kind of what we used to call a sham shield, trying to get out of work and stuff of that nature. And if I had took their assessment of them, I really never tapped into this soldier's true potential. Come to find out, yes, he is a specialist and he was a part-time soldier, but in the civilian side, the guy had a PhD in English. And if you know me, I told you I failed the second grade and barely graduated high school. English wasn't my strongest suit. But during this lead up for this deployment, because he ended up not going on deployment, but in the lead up to deployment, made sure my evaluations were good, my awards and everything was good. I placed him in our S1, our admin section, and the guy started to flourish. So sometimes people are just in the wrong environment. So do not judge people off somebody else's opinion, because people will have you not liking people because they don't like them. Like, they may have been in a previous relationship, and all of a sudden you don't like this person because of what you heard about this person. You really don't get their side of the story or anything. You're just making that rash judgment. So number 17, technology is cool, but your brain is the most powerful thing that was ever created. So I know technology is evolving, and they come up with a new gadget and a new thing to make life easier every few months. The cell phones technology is advanced. You got a pocket computer in your pocket, and you pull it out, you can research, you can do everything. But in all that advancement, since the cell phone is being in existence, guess what? Your brain is capturing everything that new phone can do. So just think about that. Your brain is more powerful than the thing they're creating, because your brain is constantly looking and it's evolving and it's adapting. So technology is cool, but your brain is the most powerful tool that you can get a hold of. So keep your brain updated with information, with understanding, with wisdom and discernment, and then you'll be able to navigate life successfully. Number 18, if everyone is doing it, do something else. It takes courage to be different. They say the way to destruction is broad, and the way to life is narrow. The gates is narrow. So if everybody start doing it, then maybe it's time for you to start doing something else. Number 19, never settle for less than what you want. Be patient. Maybe it's just not your due season. Like I said before, if you want something bad, that's exactly how you're going to get it bad. And when you do settle, you'll find yourself robbing yourself of your dreams, your goals, your ambition, and you'll start being more frustrated. But the people around you be frustrated as well. Number 20, do not make a mountain out of a molehill, but do not let a molehill grow into a mountain. And it says, do not major on minor things, so to speak. Do not make a big deal of something small, but do not let something small grow into something big either. So you got to be able to address things when they need to be addressed, and you need to have the appropriate level of solutions and just a mindset about it. So do not make a mountain out of a molehill, but do not let a molehill grow into a mountain. And then number 21, time does not answer all problems. Solutions does. So you may think like, okay, I'm just going to get through this. I'm just going to put my head down. I'm not going to say anything, and it'll get better. That's how I was married for so long. I used to think it was the first 5 years, and then they told me, 10 years, and now it's like, oh, after 15 years it'll be better, or after 20, then something's, something definitely going to change, and then 25, and the next thing you know, I'm divorced. Like, hey, man, if I knew it wasn't going to get better, I should have got out of year one. But that delayed thing. So when you push things off and you push things off, you realize it doesn't get better just with time. It takes a solution and to actually make that thing better. So do not avoid difficult conversations. They need to be had. And if you avoid them now, it's going to be harder to have them later. So make sure you go through and you address those conversations. And when you do that, you always want to strive for a win-win situation. You want to make sure, and once again, like, your opponent may not be your enemy. So when you go to create that solution, don't just try to make it seem where you're the only one that's winning. Create a win-win. Number 22. Some of your biggest haters will come from the one who claims they love you. Your family may be the biggest obstacle that you have to overcome. They have that saying out here that says blood is thicker than water. Look at that big bird. That swan. I don't know if you can see it out there making all that noise on my video. Anyway, but they have the saying that says blood is thicker than water, which is true. But I would say, do not let blood clog the pipes of your discernment. Just because they're family, don't give them the grace to be able to go out and do to you whatever they want to do, and then say, hey, we're blood, we're family, you're supposed to love them. So you need to apply the appropriate level of discernment. Just because they're family, don't give them a license to disrespect you or to belittle you or to walk over your dreams and try to, because when you go to try to do something, it'll be your family first that tell you can't do it, and if you got an encouraging family, man, that's worth its weight in gold. So make sure that you make sure that you don't become victim to some of the biggest haters. Number 23, when helping others starts hurting you, you are overdoing things. When you are helping to a point where you are starting to hurt, like somebody asks you to borrow $50 and you got $55 in your account, and you say, well, it's my family, I'm gonna give it to them. Now you're down to $5. So that helping is actually hurting you. So I'm not asking you not to step out on faith at times, because if the Most High asks you to do something and bless something, it's going to stretch you. I want you to be obedient to the Most High. But I just want to make sure that you understand that that's the Most High and just not your emotions. So when helpings start hurting, then you need to kind of dial it back some. Number 24, and we may end on 24 and I'll pick up on 25 on the next video. Never beg anyone to stay in your life. They are just blocking space for those who really want to be there. There's some people in your life that will think that you ought to be glad that they're just there. Just them even being around you, you ought to be happy that they will even be associated with someone like you, because they had elevated themselves to be up here and they had assessed you to be down here. So just their presence ought to be enough. And if you find people in your life like that, tell them to kick rocks. And also tell them you hope they, stump their toe in the rock they just kicked. You don't need them around in your life. Deal without them, because those people are just blocking people who really want to be there. Do not hold on. This is a subset of 24 of never beg anyone to stay in your life. Do not hold on to anything that doesn't want to be held. This is not a zoo. Don't put cages around people. And if, like, relationships, are like your open hand. People flow in and out, in and out. And you can't be just so into them being there that you don't have a standard for, required for them to be there. So never cuddle with tolerance. And that's kind of like, don't just go where you tolerate it. You need to be celebrated. So when you start cuddling with tolerance, then you'll just let people be in your life just because they've been there for a while. Just because you've known someone since elementary school doesn't give them a license to do whatever they want to do in your life. And like, hey, we've been knowing each other. We go way back. Maybe they need to be in the way back and not be close proximity to you. So be well, young kings. I'll get back on here on the next video and we'll pick up at 25. Once again, like, this may not be for everybody. If you got something that you like, that you enjoyed, leave a comment in there and we can talk about it. Be well, young kings.